无 signal 什么 forest 干那晒？那位抓真正多 ，so many the snake. Google's not working. So much for Google. 不变 This forest also can do. 来 let's talk about Jungle the Cruise. Tower of Terror, Mission to Mars, The Country Bearers, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Haunted Mansion, and Tomorrowland. Now, what do all these movies have in common? Well, they are all movies made from theme park rides,
The wheels on the bus go round and round.
especially from Disneyland. Now, aside from Pirates of the Caribbean, the rest lost a lot of money and they were so forgettable that I think some of you do not know the titles I've just mentioned.
I never even heard of that.
So Disney would never ever dare to make another theme park ride movie again, would they? Wrong. They just made Jungle Cruise starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Emily "Mary Poppins" Blunt. So how was this film? Was it good? How is it compared to the rest of the other theme park ride movies? Well, for starters, it borrows heavily from other movies such as Indiana Jones,
Dad! Oh, Dad! Oh, Dad!
The Mummy, The African Queen, and of course Pirates of the Caribbean.
Here they come.
You know, not much for originality, but the film relies quite a lot on the on-screen chemistry between The Rock and Emily Blunt. And they need these two people to hold the film together. And they just barely did hold the film together. But the glue is still wet. Yeah, it's not dried yet. It's in pieces, part and parcel. You know, the film centers around Dr. Lily Hawthorne, an adventurer trying to make a name for herself. She wants to find this tree called the Tree of Life. Now, she believes that the petals will cure any illnesses, you know, like cancer, bubonic plague, maybe COVID-19, who knows? Okay, so together with her brother McGregor, played by Jack Whitehall, they travel to the furthest part of South America, Brazil. Now, with the help of a very shady boat skipper named Frank, they navigate their way through tough terrains of forests, many obstacles, lots of dangers like waterfalls, cannibals, man-eating animals, spiders, snakes, etc., etc. Now, in hot pursuit is a murderous Prince Joachim, played quite hilariously by Jesse Plemons, with a loaded submarine and a very bad German accent. Jawohl! Okay, and also on the heels is also a platoon of cursed, living dead Spanish soldiers from an expedition 400 years ago. Now, all of them seek this Tree of Life and its healing powers of the petals, known as the Tears of the Moon. Now, for their own selfish reasons, each of them want this particular power. Now, the film actually is not too bad. Lots of action, quite some areas of dry wit humor, but the CGI was kind of questionable, you know, and with a predictable note, our hero redeemed himself at the end of the film and he lives to fight another sequel. Another day. Okay? So, is the movie any good? Well, I like the two leads.
Frank, get it.
Hold on.
Come on. Frank, please.
I got it.
Frank.
I don't got it.
You know, Emily Blunt, hot from the heels of A Quiet Place 2, and The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, hot from the heels of another jungle movie, Jumanji. Now, both actors are quite likable and popular, so it makes sense that both of them pair up for this particular movie. On screen, they work really well. They try to ramp up much needed chemistry, just like Humphrey Bogart and Audrey Hepburn in the film The African Queen, or Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz from the film The Mummy. Now, my problem is that the hint of romance that Disney try to force our throats in. It's kind of trying to set up for failure because the two of them, when they try to argue, they banter. Instead of a romantic couple, they seem like brother and sister. No, the vibe is not romantic.
We have to stick together.
Do we?
Yes, we do.
We is an interesting word, Frank, because it sort of implies a bond of trust and honesty, neither of which you know anything about, because you are a liar.
And when they kiss, almost threw up. The kiss that these two had in the film kind of remind me of another movie. Now, furthermore, the dialogue of this movie goes from serious to cheesy to witty and back to serious again. They can't just decide what tone they want to do. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was trying his best to channel his inner grumpy old man syndrome like Harrison Ford. Now, no one can be Harrison Ford except Harrison Ford, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is not Harrison Ford. He's just not his standard. But to his credit, he's really good in this movie in his own rocky way. I mean, he has a lot of bad dad jokes like,
Before this, I used to work in an orange juice factory, but I got canned. Couldn't concentrate. Yeah, they put the squeeze on me too.
Now, Emily Blunt here also tries her best to flirt her lines with the Mary Poppins sense, but with a dash of a female Indiana Jones vibe that kind of barely works in the movie. The problem I have is that Emily Blunt looks quite prim and proper like a lady, and it's very hard to imagine that in an Indiana Jones getup. It just doesn't work for me. It's just so out of character. And quite a few times I was out of the movie. Even though she's a good actress, I just can't really believe it. Jack Whitehall plays Lily's brother, McGregor. Now he tries to be the sidekick like C-3PO, whiny, briny, and he brings much needed laugh and a kind of spoiled brat character to the film.
Aren't you hot in all that?
Not in the slightest. My eyeballs are sweating.
But the film kind of spoils it with this LGBT message in the film. I don't know why must movies nowadays do political identity? It just doesn't work. Stay out of it. Just do the story, okay? Now, also Jesse Plemons as Prince Joachim, okay, was kind of fun. He reminds me of Belloc from the first Raiders of the Lost Ark, the antagonist. He was quite comical, but in the Monty Python kind of way, which is also kind of difficult because that's British and this is an American film. Now, on a plus note, the action sequences were quite well done, quite quick pacing, the direction was pretty clear. Most of the film set pieces was pretty engaging. However, I felt that the editing was a bit too quick. There were a lot of quick flashes of images, camera movements, just to cover up the bad CGI. The pacing was so quick that I hardly have any time to breathe at all. The questionable CGI was kind of a problem for me. Like the live animals and the leopards and the monkeys, they seem a bit off sometimes. Like the rotoscoping was kind of mismatching with the environment, and it kind of looked like they shot it in the studio, which actually they did. But shouldn't the movie not look like a theme park, right? It should look like a movie. Now I have a few questions about the story logic. So spoilers here if you have not seen it. Number one, Dwayne Johnson's character Frank. He's part of the cursed undead soldiers that came here 400 years ago. They were supposed to be Spanish. And they cannot die and they cannot travel or move away from the river. That is part of the curse. Now the plot twist came when he says that, he was that cursed soldier. That kind of threw me off because that kind of changes the tone of the movie. I'm like, what?
I'm roughly 400 years old.
What?
So another thing is that if he stayed there for 400 over years, how can he speak perfect English when he's in Brazil and most of them actually speak Portuguese? Also, how could he stay in the town there for so long and the rest of the town members grow old? They don't question how this guy just stay forever young.
You serious?
And what pisses me off is the character of Emily Blunt's Dr. Lily. At the end of the climax, she managed to secure the flower, the tears of the whatever, okay? And she's supposed to bring it back to civilization to cure illnesses. That was her mission. Then when the rock changed to the rock, get it? She sacrificed that bloody flower and gave it to him so that he can turn back to human. I mean, you know, what the hell is this? This character motivation makes absolute no sense. She hardly even know him apart from just only the Jungle Cruise itself. Frank also further said that he already wanted to die. He is very tired of being cursed and living for over 400 years. So Frank got his wish. So why can't she just let it go? Frustrating, yeah. Well, anyway, in conclusion, this movie copies heavily on The Mummy. If you not watch it, that's a better movie. Pirates of the Caribbean and other films all roll into one big package for this fun ride. Now, at times it does deliver, but I don't know this film is for whom. Is it for kids? And if it is, then at times the film's content is really not suitable, especially the LGBT message. If it's for adults, then at times the movie looks kind of juvenile because the jokes were kind of slapstick and kind of kiddish. So come on, Disney, get your shit together. But if you're just looking for a nice movie, fun, relaxing, you do not want to think much, you just want a fun ride, then perhaps Jungle Cruise is for you. I'm going to give Jungle Cruise a B-. Now, thank you everyone. Please like my channel, subscribe for more content, and get notified when new videos are being posted. Come back anytime soon. The room is always open. Now, let's go and find that leopard. I believe he owes me a lunch.